Okay, good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's well. Happy Sunday. Those that are here live, wherever you are, whenever you're tuning in, thanks so much for tuning in. A special shout out to our brother, Rob. May you be strong and well, brother. And thanks for those who have been emailing in. These past few days, we've been talking about this idea of really becoming a bigger, more evolved version of ourselves through the process of giving, where we ended off at the end of last week was in this concept of sacrifice. Sacrifice. Sacrifice is one of the few things that if we don't get it right, it may ruin us. If we don't sort of get sacrifice down, it can make us bitter and broken. How does sacrifice work? So we spoke last week about this idea that when we give, and when I mean give, it doesn't mean that we're handing somebody something, right? Giving could also mean that we're giving of ourselves to a cause. We're giving of ourselves to some higher version of ourselves. The process of doing so begins usually with the extension of something which makes us feel good. We always feel good in the beginning of doing something, you know? When you write out the card, you feel amazing. When you hand the gift to somebody, you feel amazing. When you say the right things to someone, you feel amazing. Even when you are giving anything, it always feels good in the beginning. What happens after the beginning is you get to a period of time where you go from, in spiritual language, from the right to the left. The right is giving, the left is discipline, the left is strength. What happens after the first piece is you have sacrifice. And sacrifice is when it doesn't feel as good. Sacrifice is when the first day, if you will, you go to the gym and you feel amazing. And the second day or the second week, you feel terrible. You hate it. You pretend you like it, but you hate it because you hate feeling like you can't breathe on the treadmill, and it's exhausting. It's tiring. Giving is when you, right, Rivka, good. Stick week, very good. Wow, Rivka, you just made my morning. Just for those who are tuning in, Rivka just jumped in with stick week. Stick week was what we used, I don't know, months ago. Sacrifice is, if you're raising a kid and, you're done with like the first few years of like, they just listen and smile at you and they just, they eat when you put the thing that you just put the spoon close enough to their mouth and they open up and they nestle in and they look cute in clothes. And all of a sudden they're like, they're 9 and they don't listen and they don't go to bed. And you're fighting with them, or they're 15. However long it takes to go from the right to the left, understand that the process is going to the left. You're going to end up in the left. In that world of sacrifice means you're going to give something to somebody that they're not going to appreciate and it's going to hurt. They're not going to pick up the phone when you call. They're not going to give you the accolades that you think you deserve. This happens a lot with spiritual growth. A lot with spiritual growth. You begin to connect to something deeper and you're rolling. And then you just keep at it and you don't get the feedback from God. He throws a curveball and then another curveball and then a slider down and in. And you feel like he's just striking you out. You know how many times I get calls like this? You know how many times I get a call from someone like this? This is like I would say the number one spiritual question that I get. If God really cared about me, then why is he, and just fill in the blank? Doesn't make sense. I'm giving. He's not reciprocating. So what happens is that we have to make a choice in the relationships that we have, in the career that we have. You ever feel this way, like you're digging and digging and digging, you don't see the end? You're working and working and working and don't see a change. So you hit a space in which you're not getting anything in return. And when you don't get anything in return, it highlights the challenges that you have to go through to do the first thing you're doing. Right? Think about your life. If you look at what you do and the response is either nothing or negative, it makes the thing that you do, which is extending yourself, harder. If you give somebody a gift and they say, "Thank you so much, you changed my life," you're like, "Wow, it's worth it." But if you give someone a gift and they don't even say thank you, it makes the giving harder. The feedback is impacting the actual act of giving. And so when that goes away, you're left with the choice of, do I keep giving? Do I keep striving? Let's assume forget the world of like they don't appreciate me and I'm creating dependency. Forget dysfunction, just straight up. You know this is a good thing, right? It's your kid, it's your friend, it's your parents, it's your spouse, it's your career, it's God. Like, you know, these are areas where they're worth your investment. Forget like the story of like the girl that comes into your life, you're dating, is it worth it? He doesn't seem to appreciate me. Forget that. That's the complicated stuff. Just let's stay in the world of more. These are people that you know for sure are worth the investment. You are worth the investment. If you're going to decide to eat healthier, that's an investment. You're worth it. You're trying and trying and trying, and you see no results. Trying and trying. First week, you're killing it. You can almost feel your pants getting looser. The next 2 months, nothing. Right? That stuff. That's the world of sacrifice. Now, let me explain to you how, in my opinion, how it works. It took me a long time, and like I said, I thank my rabbi from Israel for pushing me for this. He's pushing me in the spiritual way. Giving has a trap. And here's the trap. The trap is the receiver. As much as we think what we're saying is that we're giving to be unconditional, there's always a receiver for the gift. So it's so hard for us to not focus on the result of something. So when I give to somebody, it's as much as I tell myself that it's not about the person, it's not about the person. It's hard because there's a person that has to receive it. There has to be some result if I'm giving it to somebody. And as much as I tell myself that it's not about what they say, it's not about whether they appreciate me, it's not about whether or not, God hands me the gold coins from heaven. It's about me doing it. It's me. It's the process of feeling the energy coming in and out. I heard the boost. It's right. As much as we tell that to ourselves, it's so difficult because in our crosshairs, right, in the scope of what we're going towards, there's the person, there's the thing, there's the result. So the result is tied into the gift. So we don't really, really know, and life is great if we are giving unconditionally, or if we're giving because we're really exchanging. When you get into the world of sacrifice, we make the mistake of thinking that it's about the result. We're sacrificing for somebody. We're sacrificing for something. But it can't be, because we're not getting the feedback. We're not getting that. We're not getting that. All right, good. Michael knows where I'm going. We're not getting it. So there's no way you get through sacrifice, because you're constantly trying to measure the pain that you're going through with the worthiness of the result. Is it worth all of that for him? He doesn't even appreciate it. You know, I ever say that before? If I do this, he's not even going to change. If I slow down and teach him this in a slower way, he won't even know the difference. Is it worth eating healthy if I'm not going to lose weight? You think God really cares? He's not going to really do this for me anyways. What we're doing when we deal with pain is we try to measure pain against the perceived result, and then we measure it against ourselves. Is the pain worth it? Sacrifice. And if that's how we see sacrifice, then we never fully sacrifice. We can't fully, we don't have the wherewithal, because it's never worth it. Because our brains are built to survive. And our brains are created to keep us away from pain. That's why we hate cognitive dissonance. That's why we can't hear two different things. That's why people gravitate towards the people that they know and respect. That's why you see people all the time that haven't changed their political opinions since in their whole lives, or their religious opinions their whole lives, or any of their opinions their whole lives, because it's just too hard to hear someone else's thoughts to actually adapt. We don't like pain because pain is hard to survive in. Survival requires comfort, because if you get to the world of pain, that may be existential. So if I just keep you away from pain, I'm not going near pain. So understand something. Your brain is going to naturally keep you away from pain. So it's never going to be worth it. Now, especially if you get into the world of you can't predict the future, then it's never worth it. Because if you can't predict the future and the pain today, so you've got pain today and not a guaranteed result tomorrow, it's never going to go. Which is why people drop out of eating healthy, and relationships stay mediocre, and people's relationship to God stays where it is, and careers sort of like, bottom out. And that's why people, all of us with literally infinite potential, don't realize our potential. Because when you get into the world of sacrifice, as you get into sacrifice, you start asking yourself, like, is it really worth it? And at the end of the day, it's not. So in the beginning, you still have like the remnants of the giving, the remnants of that first feeling when like you were changing and people were like, thank you so much, or like you feel yourself more fit, or you feel connected in a deep way, or you go to work and you really try hard and like it really matters in the beginning, or whatever the things that you're doing. When you first start doing anything, there's that switch, and in the switch you're in the world of giving, you're in the world of the exchange, and all of a sudden things are going good. And then you move to the world of sacrifice and all the results don't happen to you, and then as a result you still have the remnants of the giving. So that keeps on going. But after a while, it's never worth it. It's never worth it. Sacrifice is never worth the result. It's not how we're built. Even if you see people that sacrifice. Now, there are people with like unique souls. Let's leave them out. Most of the people you see that are sacrifice, or many people you see that are good at sacrifice, it's because they have role models that do. And their role models sort of condition in them the idea. But from a regular person to start sacrificing something without seeing results for any period of time, no way, your brain won't work that. Your brain ain't going to let you. Forget it. If you want to see this in like real life, go start running. Go see what happens to your brain as soon as you go past the time, the amount that you can run. For some people, it's like around the block. For others, it's mile 8 or 12. Just watch your brain go. You got to stop. You got to stop. You may die. You may create long-term damage. It's not worth it. What's the point? Just take a car, just run the treadmill. You'll do this later. Tomorrow's a good day. It's too cold. It's too hot. This doesn't work. The songs are the same. Just listen. Just listen to your body go. Listen to your brain. Listen to the loop that your brain gives you as soon as you hit pain. Just listen. Watch what happens when you give somebody something and they don't say thank you more than once or twice. Holy cow. They don't appreciate me. I'm actually hurting them. I can't believe this. Of course, we won't say anything unless, I think, what did we say? What were the countries that we determined were like countries that say what they feel? It was Israel. What was it? South America, I think, right? I don't think Europe does it. I don't know if Russia does it. For those who come from Russia, let me know if you guys are more direct. Hot countries, right? The hot countries say what they. And if you're from one of the Western civilizations, no, you don't say anything. You just give them passive aggressive hints that you're upset. So they go, "What happened? Nothing. I didn't have this. What's you're upset? No, no, no. You're upset. You're upset at me. You want to talk about it? No, I just want to be passive aggressive for the next week. Is that okay? I just want it to be tense. I don't want to actually tell you how I feel. I'd rather just come in a bad mood and make the whole office tense, and then everyone will just suffer with tension, and then maybe then you'll grovel long enough to anyone have office like this, by the way? Am I the only one? Not anymore, thank God. They grew up in an office like this. Someone's upset at the boss, so they have come in like just tense the entire time, so that like as opposed to like dealing with it, we just have to like suffer from tension, just so that everyone's sort of like, what's the matter? What's the matter? What's the matter? What's the matter? Ain't worth it. Sacrifice ain't worth it. It ain't worth it. And our brains will tell us that it ain't worth it. And the longer before we try to solve it, let's just sit in the tension for a few minutes. I don't want to run. Let's just sit in the tension for a few minutes. Let's not solve it yet. Let's just sit in the tension. Let's just give ourselves a minute to identify that our brains, if you're more spiritually minded, it's called an evil inclination, but either way, it's something going on where our brains give us the reasons to stop sacrificing. But understand that this is like where the trap door is. Like, this is the trap door of life. Giving is the evolution of who we are, in whatever form it takes place. Giving, extension of self, is growth of self. You can't grow unless you extend. So this is the path. And it begins in a very nice, wonderful way. And invariably, it will go into a world of where you're going to have to sacrifice. And when we're there, our brains will kick into high gear and the prosecutors will come out and bang on the gavel and go, Your Honor, can I present our case? And in your head, the prosecutor starts. And if we don't just recognize for a second that the voice that clicks in as soon as it gets a little hard is the voice of the survival aspect of our brains, we're not going to be able to mount a defense. So let's try just for a few minutes, and tomorrow we'll start to chip at it. But just for today, let's just identify it. Just identify it. Just look for it. Listen to the voice telling you to stop sacrificing. And just look at it as something that's outside you. Remember, you're your soul. You're not your brain. Your brain is there for you to survive. Your soul is here for you to be great. If all we can do today is just hear the voice and say, that's not me, that would be like halfway up the mountaintop, I think. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry for starting our Sundays a little tense. It's good. The tension's good because until we hear it, we can't try to solve it. And tomorrow, with God's help, we'll start to chip away at it. All right. Have an amazing day. Happy Sunday. With God's help, I can't wait to see you again tomorrow.